What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a look at all the new Brobnar cards, which are coming around in Worlds Collide, because we've had a look at a bunch of other houses. It's time for Brobnar. Now, we're going to start off with ALAKA. ALAKA is one of the new cards coming out, and we need to do this because Brobnar's kind of a weird house in Worlds Collide. So, if we start off with ALAKA, we have a 4-power, 0-armor creature, and if you have used a creature to fight this turn, ALAKA enters play ready. You can compare this with, for instance, Bramble Lynx from over in Untamed in Worlds Collide, whereby if you've used a creature to reap this turn, it enters play ready. Brobnar's a fighty house, right? So you're often going to be fighting, you fight, you're good, go for it. But then we have ALAKA's Brew. Now, ALAKA's Brew is an action card that gives you an amber bonus, and when you play it, you give a creature 2+1 power counters. So it's a really nice little, well, just way to beef up one of your characters. But every time that you get ALAKA and ALAKA's Brew, you also get Mega ALAKA. Now, Mega ALAKA is exactly the same as ALAKA in every way, except with 2 extra power. Now, remember, you will also have ALAKA's Brew, so if you want, you could bump it up to an 8-power creature using that card, but you will get Mega ALAKA. Now, you can have ALAKA by itself, but if you have ALAKA's Brew, you will have Mega ALAKA. There we go. So as we go through, we are going to have to kind of look at some cards as a trio, or else it doesn't make a huge amount of sense. BALLCANO is a new card, and it's an action card, and when you play it, you deal 4 damage to each creature and gain 2 chains. There are very few Keyforge cards that I actively dislike. This is one of them. Because you see, I mean, look, there are ways in which this will be a very good card. There is absolutely the potential that this might work. But it's a two-sided thing. It damages all of your creatures and all of your opponents. And 4 power is enough to get a lot of KOs on a lot of things. So it's kind of like a pseudo board wipe, except it's for you and your opponent, and you gain 2 chains. The one saving grace is that at least you'll be playing Brobnar, so it's likely you'll have some beefier creatures. You are likely to be able to deal with this a little bit more. But it's not a proper board wipe, but it's still annoying, and it gives you chains. This one makes me nervous. Barn Raising is an action card, and when you play it for the remainder of your turn, your opponent loses 1 amber every time a friendly creature fights. This is for one of those where you really need lots of creatures, but more than that, lots of good creatures. And make no mistake about it, right? If you've got lots of good creatures, this is phenomenal. Because you can make your opponent lose a bunch of amber. It could be phenomenal amber control. You can make your opponent lose 6, 7, 8 amber. But this is all predicated on the fact that not only do you have lots of creatures, you have lots of good creatures. And that is something that, frankly, we can't always rely on. Berserker Slam is an action card, and this one we like quite a bit more. Firstly, it gives you an amber bonus. That's very nice. But when you play it, you deal 4 damage to a flank creature, either flank creature, yours or your opponent's, and if this creature is destroyed by the damage, its controller loses an amber. So if your opponent ever has a creature with 4 power or less on a flank, you play this, you get an amber, destroy a creature, and your opponent loses an amber. That's a really nice collection of stuff happening. Go team! Gron 9-Toes is a creature with 5 power, 0 armor, and it gets +4 power while it is damaged, but you only get the bonus if you survive. So if, for instance, 6 damage is done, you wouldn't go, oh, he's damaged, he's a 9 power, he's still there. It's 6 damage has been done, you're destroyed, gutted. So you've got to destroy the damage. But then you go up to 9 power, and 9 power's really good. Like, really good. Then, of course, you have Gron's Brew, which again, amber bonus, give a creature 2+1 power counters. Name accepted, all of the brew, and the flavor text, which gives you a little bit of a description of the brew. All the brews are identical. They all do the same stuff. And this brings you out with a Mega Gron Ninetoes, which again, exactly the same card, except it's a 7 power, and if it's damaged but not destroyed, then you become an 11 power. That's pretty beefy. IRESTAFF is an artifact that gives you an amber bonus, and it's got an action whereby you enrage a creature, could be yours or your opponent's, and then you give that creature a +1 power counter. The ideal situation here is you've got a creature you want to fight with, because enraging means you put a rage counter on the creature, and then the next time it is used, it must be used to fight, cannot reap, cannot use an action if it has one. But then you remove the rage counter, so it's very much a one-turn thing. So, you know, put it on a Gron Ninetoes, and it becomes a 6 power creature, use it to fight, and then next turn, do it again, it becomes a 7 power creature, use it to fight, and as long as you keep using it to fight, keep enraging it, keep giving it the +1 power counter, it actually works out rather nicely indeed. Mogghunter is a 6 power 0 armor creature, and when you fight you deal 2 damage to a flank creature. Now remember, you have to survive the fight in order for this to actually work. It is a fight skill at the end of the day. But this is quite cool. It's nothing particularly amazing, it's just a pretty powerful creature that puts some extra damage on the board, but sometimes that's kinda cool. Now you have Moghunter's Brew here, amber bonus, give a creature 2+1 power counters, and if that comes you will have a Mega Mogghunter, which is an 8 power creature that deals 2 damage to a flank creature. It's pretty beefy. Speaking of beefy, NARP, 8 power, 1 armor, so that's gigantic, but its neighbours can't reap. Which turns this from a really good, beefy, powerful card to, ooh, maybe not. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, this is rife with potential downsides. This could go wrong. You could put this next to a creature and then put another creature next to it, and all of a sudden it's got 2 neighbours, but neither of those neighbours can actually reap, so you end up in a really awkward situation where you're just losing amber after amber after amber. And all of a sudden you've got significantly less amber than you're supposed to have. And then you lose because you don't have enough amber. No, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a fan of this one really at all. Unless you can have it next to creatures that don't mind fighting. Maybe it's on a flank and you got a creature next to it that only wants to fight, but this one could go very wrong. Also, there is a NARP's Brew, amber bonus, 2+1 power counters, and a Mega NARP, which is 10 power, 1 armor, but again, its neighbours cannot reap. Shorty is a 4 power, 0 armor creature with Assault 4. That is to say, before this creature attacks, you deal 4 damage to the attacked enemy. So, yeah, you're alright here, to be honest. Just keep attacking 4 power or less creatures, and you'll keep destroying them before they ever get a chance to actually do anything. And when you reap, you enrage, which is another way to say you may reap with Shorty, but only every other turn. Yeah, apparently Brobnar in Worlds Collide have just given up reaping. Rage is fine, but it forces you into fighting, so it's actually kind of annoying. And when you reap, you've enraged, so you've either got to find a way to get rid of it, or you've got to fight next turn. Now, it's pretty good at fighting because of the Assault 4, but it is a card that really pigeonholes itself into the whole fighting thing. STILT-KIN is a 2 power, 0 armor creature with Skirmish. If you start the fight, you will survive the fight. And after a giant creature is played adjacent to STILT-KIN, you ready and fight with STILT-KIN. Now, bearing in mind a lot of Brobnar creatures are giants. The last 2 we mentioned, no, last 3, no, last 4. Last 4? Every creature we've mentioned in the video so far has been a giant. It's been 5 we've mentioned so far. They've all been giants, not including the megas, who are obviously also giants as well. So it's good, because you get to ready it, and readying it is lovely, and it's got skirmish, so when you fight, you're going to survive. But again, it's another creature that forces you to fight. And fighting can be good for clearing your opponent's battle line, but the name of the game is literally Keyforge. The aim of the game is forging keys. Fighting too much could have negative consequences. Warrior's Refrain is an action card that gives you an amber bonus, and when you play it, you stun each creature with power 3 or lower. This could be amazing. It could be terrible. It depends on what kind of deck you've got it in. The fact that it will come along in Brobnar, and this will generally be a terrible Maverick. The fact that it's in Brobnar is good because most of the creatures are above power 3. But you're probably going to be stunning a lot of the creatures in your other houses, so that could go kind of wrong and not in a fun way. FYRE-BREATH is an upgrade that gives you an amber bonus, and this creature gains +3 power, and before fight, deal 2 damage to each neighbor of the creature this creature fights. It's brilliant. It's really good. It's a lovely card. Well, it's not lovely. Lovely's the wrong word, but it's a very good card. Gives you an amber bonus, and it deals 2 damage to each neighbor of the creature that you fight. So you're basically getting an amber, gaining 3 power, and dealing 4 extra damage when you fight. This is a really nice upgrade. And okay, it is for fighting, but at least it's got the good sense to give you an amber bonus. Gravelguts, 5 power, 0 armor creature, and after an enemy creature is destroyed fighting Gravelguts, you give it 2+1 power counters. So essentially what you want to do with this is just feast on little creatures. Find a whole bunch of little creatures and take them down. That's got to be the goal with Gravelguts here. Because you don't want to get destroyed, but the more you destroy, the bigger you get. Now, it is after an enemy creature is destroyed fighting Gravelguts, so you don't need to start the fight here. If you're attacked and you destroy them, you're fine, although your opponent just generally won't. But once again, we're really talking about fighting. And fighting, like I keep saying, fighting is fine, but I've had a lot of run-ins with Brobnar where I'm sitting there and I'm clearing my opponent's board, but I'm just not gaining amber and they win anyway. I'd like to avoid that if at all possible. Overrun is an action card that gives you an amber bonus, and if 3 or more enemy creatures have been destroyed this turn, your opponent loses 2 amber. So this is really nice just in terms of amber control. Make your opponent lose a bit of amber, and look, you're going to be fighting and destroying creatures with Brobnar, you might as well get something out of it, and that's what you get here. Power of Fire is an action card whereby you have to sacrifice a friendly creature, but if you do, each player loses amber equal to half of that creature's power, rounding down. So with a Mega NARP, for instance, or a Gravelguts that's been really going for it, you could be making your opponent lose like 5 amber. Now, you have to lose the amber as well, but there isn't even an amber bonus on the card, so this is going to be a prime candidate for discarding. A lot of the time you're going to discard it because you don't want to lose the amber, but when you can afford to play it, yes, this is great amber control. RAGWARG is an artifact that gives you an amber bonus, and after a creature reaps, if it is the first time a creature has reaped this turn, you deal 2 damage to it. Sounds amazing, but do please remember it is a 2-sided card. Your creatures will also be damaged when you reap, so you need to be a little bit careful here. Speaking of artifacts that give you an amber bonus, Shattered Throne. It is an artifact that after a creature is used to fight, it captures 1 amber. Now, if you're going to be having a big fighty Brobnar deck, this is a really nice artifact to have. Because even though, and we've seen, Brobnar's not amber rushing in Worlds Collide, it's just not what they do. But we're actually getting a decent amount of amber control, which is largely tied to fighting, so maybe you just go, right, even though I'm not going to be gaining a bunch of amber with Brobnar here, if I can be clearing my opponent's board and getting a whole bunch of capturing and amber control as well, maybe it's worth it. Once again, two-sided artifact, your opponent will also capture amber when a creature is used to fight. SKOLL is a free power 0 armor creature with assault free. You deal 3 damage before the fight happens if you start it. And after an enemy creature is destroyed by SKOLL's assault damage, you give a friendly creature a +1 power counter. So, fight something with 3 power or less, they get destroyed by assault, and then any friendly creature you like gets a +1 power counter. Sounds fun. SLIMY JARK is a 1 power 0 armor creature, which sounds very weak and is very weak, but you've got skirmish, so if you start a fight you will survive it, and elusive, so that your opponent has to attack you to break the elusive and then destroy you. So you know what? Yeah, we're good. That sounds good to me. And when you fight, you enrage the creature SLIMY JARK fights. So now you're enraging a creature and forcing it to have to fight next turn. It's very weak, but with elusive and skirmish and the enraging, there's certainly quite a lot about it that you can go, yeah, I like this. GUJI Dinosaur Hunter is a creature with 4 power, 0 armor, and elusive, and it's got an action that lets you deal 2 damage to a creature, but if it's a dinosaur creature with any amber on it, and bearing in mind dinosaurs love exalting, which puts amber on it from the common pool, you deal 6 damage instead. That is good. IGON the Green. IGON the Green is a 4 power, 0 armor creature, and when it is destroyed, you purge IGON the Green and return IGON the Terrible from your discard pile to your hand. So at this stage, we should probably remind ourselves what IGON the Terrible does. 8 power, 0 armor creature, but when you play it, if IGON the Green has not been purged, you destroy it. You got to put IGON the Green down, wait for him to go down, and then get IGON the Terrible, but you're an 8 power, 0 armor creature, and when you fight, you steal an amber. So you've got amber control going along with a very powerful creature. It takes a bit of investment to get it out onto the field, but it's very much worth it when you do. When it hits the field, you'll be glad that it has. Kaloch Stonefather is a 6 power, 0 armor creature, and it's a leader. Every house in Worlds Collide has a leader. This is the one from Brobnar. And all these leaders have an extra effect when they're in the centre of the battle line. Kaloch Stonefather, when he's in the centre of your battle line, each friendly creature gains skirmish. Each friendly creature gains skirmish. So all of your creatures can fight without taking any damage back. Again, it's really there for fighting, but it's pretty phenomenal for what it does. NOGI SMARTFIST is a 5 power, 0 armor creature, and when you fight, you draw 2 cards and discard 2 random cards from your hand. On the one hand, we love the draw power. Draw power is good, but then you've got to discard 2 random cards from your hand. So basically, do not play this if you've got a card in your hand you're not willing to discard. It could backfire. Speaking of things that could backfire, old BOOMY, a 2 power, 0 armor creature, and when you reap, you reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal a Brobnar card or choose to stop. You deal 2 damage to old BOOMY if a Brobnar card was revealed, but you archive each card revealed this way. Now, archiving is good, but random archiving is awkward. You might end up with multiple different houses in your archive, and remember, you've got to pick up all of your archive or nothing, so you risk picking up an archive full of cards which clog your hand, stop you drawing at the end of your turn. And incidentally, right, if you reveal a Brobnar card and deal 2 damage to old BOOMY, unless you've added some power counters, he gone. But it's quite fun for building up your archive. Ragnarok. Ragnarok is an action card, and it is an alpha card. We've not seen many alpha cards in Worlds Collide, but this is very much one of them. And Ragnarok says, for the remainder of the turn, creatures cannot reap, and you gain 1 amber whenever a friendly creature fights. at the end of the turn, destroy each creature. It was doing so well! You see, the thing is, it's an alpha card, so it only works with creatures that came down this turn. But we've been talking all video about these Brobnar cards and how they're fighting and they're not reaping. And this gives you a great reason to fight. And then at the end of the turn, all your creatures are destroyed. Now the good news is all your opponent's creatures are destroyed, but you're losing all yours as well. That actually really sucks. The big one is a very, very impressive card. And it's a very weird one and a very cool one. Probably going to make my top 10 most exciting cards list I show you on Saturday. It gives you an amber bonus and it reads, after a creature is played, put a fuse counter on the big one. And as soon as you hit 10 fuse counters, destroy each creature and artifact. Now this is a board wipe because it doesn't just wipe creatures, it also wipes artifacts. I really think this has a lot of potential. And it's anytime a creature is played by you or your opponent, this is going to wreck some games. Now, the last real card that we need to look at here is The Floor is Lava. It is an artifact that gives you an amber bonus and reads, at the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to a friendly creature and 1 damage to an enemy creature. Which is quite nice, so you get the amber bonus. And you get to deal damage, but this is in your control. Yes, you have to deal 1 damage to one of your creatures, but you also get to deal 1 damage to an enemy creature, and you can hopefully manipulate this so you hurt them more than you hurt you. And then we've got some other brews and mega creatures. So we've got Chieftain's Brew and Mega Ganger Chieftain. Not a new card in Worlds Collide Ganger Chieftain, but the Mega is. Calfine's Brew and Mega Calfine. Grok's Brew and Mega Grok. Those are creatures that we previously had, but they get brews and mega versions in this set. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, all the new Brobnar cards from Worlds Collide. Brobnar's always been my least favourite house, and I don't think there's anything really in this house, at least in Worlds Collide, that is changing my mind. But then again, I've always been a Reaper more than a fighter, so maybe that's more my problem. Regardless, ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to know what you think about these cards. Which ones are your favourite? Which ones are you looking to play with? So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk Keyforge and a whole bunch of other games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, and so on. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.